Oh, no, not yet. Oh my goodness, parties are still crashed. Well, I just have to hope that doesn't end up being too much of an issue later on. All right, well, I guess I have no other option, because Xbox parties are crashed. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insanely 13. I'm running under the assumption that you can hear me, as we are about to get underway for IARA's final stint, 6 out of 6 here at Road America. So we are going to be looking at an interesting scenario. I do want to give a thanks to the event host for HYR Spirit for going ahead and getting me access to the live timing documents. We have missed Stint 4 and 5 on this channel, but another person was nice enough to cover that, and we do want to say thanks for that. Real quickly, when it comes to the fight down to the end, as it stands right now, the Stark Industries, so looking in the GT4 Amateur category, the Stark Industries Porsche has slipped to second, so it is a Mustang first and a Mustang third, and the gaps are pretty big. It is 5 miles difference between first and second, and then another 15 miles difference between second and third right now. So GT4M is all but decided unless there's a disconnect. When it comes to the GT4 Pro category, right now it is looking like it's going to be the Section 6 entry that is going to walk off with this potentially. Real quick, let's look at the driver list here. I believe Section 6 is one of the GTs here. Oh, it looks like we're already on to the circuit. So yeah, all drivers are still here. But it does look like the Section 6 entry is still good for the most part here. That would be Calco, Primo Carnivore, and Flavored Adams team. They are leading there, followed by the 3 Yanks and something. That is SPR Plaid, Ferrari, F14 Effect, Sergeant Stravosky, and that team is currently running with 848 miles, so they are third. Second is Graffiti Racing. They have 850 miles, so they are basically a lap and a half behind. Graffiti Racing, for those of you who are not aware, that is Anzio's team that he is soloing the entire run. After that, it's a bit of a running back, but you get the Neil team. They are with only 843 miles right now. And then last is, at only 507 miles due to a series of disconnects, is the Mental Health Awareness Mercedes. In the top category, which is the one everyone's the most interested in, the bottom right now is the Racing Tards entry. That is the one with Dangerous 57 Hemi. Fourth place is the Blip Shift Racing team. That is the one with Deadpam, NWR No Thumbs, AOA Mutiny, and Mullet 56. And then of the 3 teams who have been fighting for the top spot throughout the day today, third after a horrible Stint 5 is the FSC Endurance team. That is the team that is made up of NWR Arkina, Marquin, TNR Reflex, Grippin Z7, Lucas, and POP. Second is somehow still the NDL team. I'm honestly more than a little bit shocked that NDL is still second, but they are still second at this stage of the event here. They have not closed by any significant amount in the remaining stints, it would seem. And then they are down to only about just over 3 miles off. So they would have to make up 3/4 of a lap on this final stint on the HYR team, which is led by HYR, which is going to be run by HYR Spirit. So HYR and NDL in a legitimate fight. We do not know how good HYR Spirit is going to be. We do not know how good NDL Illusion is going to be in relation. We have seen Spirit run earlier in the stint, had a respectable run earlier, but we don't know how fast he's going to be in relation to Illusion. If we end up in a situation where Illusion ends up just completely destroying Spirit on pace, He would have to close in by a bit over 3 miles, so about 3/4 of a lap, but it might be possible. But Illusion has to drive the best bloody stint of his life. He basically has to put that entire team on his shoulders. So the prototype fight is still up for grabs, but is getting close. In the GT4 category, though, the Section 6 team with a lap and a half of overall distance. And again, the GT4 AM category is about a lap and a quarter of overall distance. So it looks like the GT category wins are decided, but everything else is still up in the air. We're going to knock out an ad break before we get underway here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Road America as we are about to get underway here for the final stint. HYR Spirit runs second. He needs to be within 3/4 of a lap of NDL Illusion at the end of this to win this. All the other teams, they're not out of it, but realistically they are out of it. Green flag, and we are underway here at Road America, and it looks like NDL Illusion had a pretty good start. Interesting thing to remember, this final stint is going to be evening into night. Visibility is going to be at a premium tonight. And immediately HYR Spirit blows the very first corner and blows a bunch of time, losing ground to NDL Illusion. Now him and Mutiny are in a side-by-side fight right behind. RX tries to make a move, and RX is going to go by AOE Mutiny, now tucked up behind the Spyro car. There are still a few portions on the track that do have visibility, but not a lot of them here. Second place now starting to barrel back down on NDL Illusion here. Third and fourth running nose to tail, trying to set up for a move going into Canada corner. Be a big one if he makes it stick, but no, he's just going to hold station for fourth right now, will RX. But the TNR team has been shunted down to fourth right now at this stage of the event, trying to get back by the Spyro car. Meanwhile, in the GT4 category, it is the BMW that has opened up a significant gap overall, and now they are looking to add to that as already Calco is vanishing into the distance, while Ferrari has taken second back and is Formulaic and Anzio having a bit of a fight for third, with Fear de Mask hanging out in the fifth position, last of the GT Pro cars. In the bottom category is BFL Striker, who leads right now over Nerdy Chimera and Hellbane, and BFL Striker is coming in the pit. Did he have an accident that we missed? Oh, he's got engine damage. Not a significant amount, but enough that he needs to pit now to fix it. Meanwhile, at the head of the prototype category, HYR Spirit has run NDL Illusion back down here. Looks to the inside, but he's not going to make a big move yet. neck and neck as they went into the carousel. But for now, India Illusion has the position, and RX has gone off. RX has had an accident, and it's gone from bad, well, he's not wrecked the car, but he has slipped back into the middle of the GT category field after going off, so that's going to shunt him to last. But meanwhile, at the head of the field is India Illusion and HYR Spirit. Spirit does not have to win this stint to win the event overall, but man, it would be a great thing for him if he could make that happen. India Illusion needs something to happen to Spirit to shunt him 3/4 of a lap down if he wants to go ahead and steal this stint win. Just about nose to tail. So Spirit is keeping Illusion in his sights, and honestly, that's all he has to do. He doesn't have to do anything crazy or dramatic or anything like that. Just as long as he can hang out in Illusion's draft, HYR will bring the victory home for their team. All right, finally, it looks like I've got Xbox parties to finally start working. I do apologize for that. It's a technical issue, but I use Xbox parties to make sure that the audio is properly being picked up on stream, so I do apologize for that. But right now, it is nose to tail at the head of the field. HYR Spirit stalking Illusion. Real quick, let's look at their fuel and tire life. 9%, 9.3% for Illusion with 73% in the tank. For Spirit, that is. For Illusion, it is 60% in the tank, 8.7%. So Illusion is burning his tires less aggressively, but it has less fuel in the tank. Here comes the move. It's going to be HYR Spirit going to try and go the long way around, down into Canada corner. Heavy under the brakes. Not a great run by either of them, but this might be enough. Spirit's got the position, and Illusion's going to back out because you don't want to go side by side in that corner or you will fly off the circuit. So Spirit goes to the top now. HYR is leading overall in distance, and now they are leading once again on track in the final set here at Road America. Now here comes Illusion back. He's going to go to the inside. It's going to be drag races that come across the line. And down to turn one, that 96 should be able to brake nice and deep if he was. No, he's going to brake early. He's betting on Illusion, he's betting on Spirit running right, so Illusion can get to his inside, but that's not what happens. Spirit holds station for now. Illusion stuck in the second position. Top two in GT category have pretty much pulled away. There's a bit of a stalking battle going on for third. Formulaic holds on in third position right now, with Anzio having slipped to fourth. Remember, Anzio is one of two drivers on the Ironman run. Anzio is still in position to maybe take top three overall in category. Illusion has gotten back by Spirit, it would appear. So it looks like Spirit went wide at the end of the braking zone, at the end of the back straightaway, and has put Illusion back in front. So we're going to have to focus on this because it looks like this is going to go to the end. But the big thing for Spirit, if he can just stay right with Illusion like this, he will guarantee the overall win for the HYR team. And India, one of the fastest, one of the best teams that we have seen in all the different categories that we cover on this channel. It just does not look like it's coming out in their favor. A series of accidents in stint one, and while they've had a few good stints, it's not been enough. They've not been able to destroy the HYR guys consistently enough. They are still so far behind. They need something bad to happen to Spirit. And as it stands right now, it just does not seem to be in the cards here at Road America. It's not a bouncing issue. These cars are the same. It's not a tuning issue. It's just been a matter of cleanliness. The NDL teams have just not had it. The HYR teams generally have had it. Also, third place, Dangus 57 Hemi. He is not too far off. So the Spiral car trying to bounce back to what could be it would be an outside shot, but maybe a third place result depending on how far back RX falls off at the end of this run here. Not quite nose to tail at the head of the field as they go through turn one. Now the run onto the back straightaway once again. Sun is still out for now, but it will go away soon enough. We are anticipating it to go away at least. Big changes. between the sunny track that we had in the earlier stints and this now. With more of the track now shady, it means that the tires are going to take a little bit longer to get up to temperature. So pit stops are going to be very important. Now, you should still be able to get your tires warmed up before the full lap is over, but it used to just be jump on the brakes really heavy going into turn 5, realistically turn 3, but technically turn 5 at the end of the back straightaway, and your tires should be good. Now, you're going to be bleeding off a little bit more tire temp down that long straightaway, especially off the front tires. It's going to be a lot harder to get the tires up to temp. It's likely not going to be until about this point in the lap after pitting that your tires will be back up to temp. So keep that in mind. It also means that very worn tires will be a little bit hard to maintain grip, but it also means that if you've been having any sort of trouble with burning the tires up, just pushing the tires too hard, ideally it should be a little easier for you at this stage. IARA Spirit has a run on India Illusion. Looks to the outside. Illusion moves over, blocks it. Spirit is going to back out so they don't make too much contact here. So for the moment, Illusion, Spirit, run, nose to tail at the head of the field. Dangus 57 Hemi runs a little bit farther back, and AOE Mutiny is in 4th, 5th place, way back, about a third of a lap off the leaders is TNR RX. And already, Anzio is making a pit stop. He's made early pit stops before. I have to wonder if that's just a strategy again. Our prototype leaders are going to have to come up on traffic momentarily here. BFL Striker has also gone ahead and made a stop. So it is now Nerdy Chimera who leads in the GT Amateur category, with Hellbane a distant second. He has been passed already by our prototype leaders, and IARA Spirit is now starting to lose a bit of ground to India Illusion. But they're going to start catching GT traffic here in the more technical sections on track. It's going to be the most important corners to try and run down and overtake the drivers ahead in the GT category, and you have to do it nice and clean. I don't think they're going to have to worry about GT traffic going into the kink, but I think they're going to have to worry about GT traffic potentially at the start of the next lap, going into turn 1, and then coming onto the back straightaway. They are going to catch, by the looks of it, I think it's going to be Hellbane. They might catch Hellbane, yes, coming into the kink. Yeah, it looks like Illusion is going to have to deal with Hellbane going through the kink. Spirit is far enough back. It shouldn't compromise him too much. The NDL driver is going to go the long way around, but lost a bunch of time jumping on the brakes to not run him over. And now look at this run! Side by side as they head to Canada corner. Around the outside, tries the HYR car. Can't make it stick. India Illusion will hold on to the lead for just a little bit longer this time. For now. Now we see our prototype leaders. Still nose to tail. So Illusion leads, but that gap he was opening up on Spirit suddenly evaporates. They're both going to clear Fear to Mask. They're going to clear Fear to Mask here without any significant issue. I don't think they're going to have to worry about braking zone issues with Formulaic here. They should be able to outrun them just before they get onto the back straightaway. Then it will be, yep, they already cleared them. Then it will be clear running for a bit. It will be Ferrari and Calco will be the next drivers they catch, and I think they might catch one of them going into the carousel. Maybe they'll catch the other one going into the kink, but I think it's more likely they'll catch them on the braking zone into Canada corner right now. The Illusion has it. Spirit, though, is bringing the HYR team home. All he has to do is just hang out with NDL Spirit. Don't let any significant gap open between the two of you, and the HYR team can bring home the overall win in the prototype category. Although if you could steal the stint win, I'm sure you would do it if you could in a heartbeat. Just about nose to tail as they come out of turn 7 and rush downhill here. Tight, heavy braking zone. And sure enough, they're going to catch Ferrari here going through the carousel. That's a bold line to try and go around the outside, and Spirit really suffered for it. Car very nearly got away from him. That's going to let Illusion open up the gap just a little bit on Spirit. And they're both going to catch that GT car just as they come under braking here. Nice and clear dive by Illusion. He actually ends up washing just a little bit wide on exit. Spirit will pass that BMW completely. And now they're just about nose to tail again. I do think Illusion is faster, but we're already about a quarter of the way. Well, actually, more than a quarter. We are about a fifth of the, almost a fifth of the way through this stint, this final stint, and Illusion has not opened up a significant gap on Spirit. Illusion needs Spirit to have some sort of catastrophic accident to shut him out of position to lose over 3 miles of distance for the NDL team to steal this. No other team is realistically in contention, not unless there's an outright disconnect by IARA Spirit. That would definitely upend things quite a bit. But assuming that doesn't happen, it is between these two for both the stint win and the overall race victory in this 12-hour category. Right now, NDL Illusion is doing a good job fighting the battle, but it is not going to be enough to win the war by the looks of it. We have a twitch and slide at number 24. Again, remember, Spirit has more fuel in the tank, but he's been burning his tires a little bit more. He's already at 26.7% tire wear. NDL Illusion, who is ahead of him, is currently at 24%, has 28% left in the fuel tank. So again, Spirit burned through the tires a little bit faster than Illusion, but he has a lot more flexibility on strategy. Illusion is kind of locked into a strategy due to having put less fuel in the tank early on here. And boy, the circuit's actually starting to look really nice here as the sun sets. All these little shades of pink shadows here. It's honestly really nice. Basically all of our GT, almost every position has stopped fighting. There is a bit of a stalking battle between Anzio and Hellbane, but that's really just because Anzio has already made a stop and Hellbane has not, and they're not even in the same category either. So yeah, basically every single position has pretty much been resolved at this stage of the event, except for these two. And third place, Dangus Hemi is already pitting. Is there damage on the cars? He's just electing to pit 20 minutes in. Looks like he's just going to pit 20 minutes in. He didn't have a lot of fuel in the car to begin with. So Hemi is going to pit out of third position. That will cycle Mutiny up into third, and I think RX will cycle up into fourth ever so briefly as well here. Spirit continues to run in the draft of NDL Illusion here. Diving into the heavy braking zone once again. So much pink. I love how it looks here in this semi-nighttime scenario here. This is fantastic. I love it. When we covered the SEC's P1R Enduro here at Road America about a month ago, well, about a month and a half ago now, we had the same thing, but there was a lot of rain throughout the event, so we didn't really see this kind of coloring change. Now we actually get to see it. It's really, really fantastic to watch here. Illusion holding the tighter line. Spirit a little bit wider, trying to have a nice tight exit coming out of the carousel. Looks to the inside. You don't want to be side by side going into the kink. And Spirit's not going to push the issue. Not this time, at least. But there are nose to tail, and Spirit's going to have a great draft. Does he try to make the move on Illusion here? He's going to go around the outside. The long way around will give him the inside line into Canada corner. But he'll break early. He'll give the NDL car plenty of space. So NDL leads for just a little bit longer there. But Spirit continues to put Illusion under pressure here right now. Uphill now once more. Spirit has a draft on Illusion. Does he try and make a move to the inside? Oh, he's going for it. He goes to the inside. He pulls up. They're dead heat as they go under braking. Spirit actually broke a little earlier. He's going to slide the car in front of Illusion. HYR goes to the top here. All right, now what does Illusion do? Does he try to fight back? Does he try to clip back under? It looks like, unless something catastrophic happens to Spirit, it looks like the overall fight for the overall total win in Prototypes is over. HYR Spirit is close enough to NDL Illusion on pace that HYR is going to win overall. Now it's just going to be a matter of pride. Is it going to be NDL Illusion or HYR Spirit that wins this final stint here at Road America? Through the twisties once again. This time it is Illusion who is following Spirit here. Not anything big here. You don't want to go side by side coming out of the carousel and risk sending yourself off track. You also don't want to be side by side through the kink. You want to back off, get a good draft, a great run through the kink, and then use the draft in a better line to just destroy the driver ahead of you on the run down to Canada corner. Is Illusion close enough to make that work? It's not looking like it. He is in the draft. He is starting to close down, but it's just not close enough to pull alongside going into Canada corner. He gets right under the rear wing, and Illusion actually is a little bit more stable, getting the power down. He's going to try and go around the outside. That's a dangerous move to go around the outside in this corner. He'll back out, and Spirit, who twitches wide a bit. Illusion looks to the outside. He slides very wide. Keeps the rear end hanging out, but he's still right there behind Spirit as they now accelerate back uphill once again. Here he comes. He's going to be on the inside now. Turns a bit of a hiccup at the end of Sector 3 to a side-by-side at the start-finish line, and he's going to have his nose ahead, I think, as they go into Turn 1. No, he's backing out early. He's going to back out early, try to force Spirit on the outside lane. Spirit puts the power down and cuts the car all the way ahead again. Illusion can't be side-by-side to the following corner as they come up on GT traffic again. Clear the number 64 without too much issue now. Illusion right there in Spirit's draft. Should be easy to get alongside, you would think. You go for a big dive at the end of the straight. No, he's going to try and take the longer, wider entry to have a nice tight exit. But it just didn't work out that time. He's in the draft. He's still right there, but he is not able to get alongside. Coming up on Anzio and Striker now. That's Striker. They're going to clear without too much issue. And here it comes, 3 wide, downhill. And NDL is going to clear him with the help of a little bit of traffic. And the 96 car goes back to the top. As IARA Spirit now follows him as they go through the carousel. Again, remember, Spirit is burning through his tires faster, but Illusion is going to have to pit sooner due to fuel mileage. He does not have enough fuel in the tank to go really long. Our top 2 in GT are pitting this time by. So is 3rd place in GT, Formulaic here. So we will see Fear to Mask go into the lead ever so briefly here. This should also mean that these leaders here in Prototype will be able to clear a good chunk of the GT traffic. Shouldn't have to worry about them holding them up too much, I believe. Bit wide by both Illusion and Spirit going into the final corner that time. And suddenly Illusion has done it. He has broken the draft between himself and IARA Spirit. They're going by traffic in the GT pits, so they won't have to worry about passing Chimera. They won't have to worry about passing Formulaic. Next driver up ahead of them, I believe, is going to be Ferrari, and then it will be Calco and Fear to Mask a little higher up the grid. And if Fear to Mask pits at the end of this lap, they probably won't have to worry about passing him either. All right, so it looks like Ferrari, they're going to catch him in a nice straight line, so he's not going to give our leaders in the prototype category too much of an issue here. AOE Mutiny is also going to pit now, 4th position in prototypes. So TNR has cycled back up to 3rd. Spirit does not have a good run there. In turn 5, he has closed the gap down just enough. He's just within the draft of that 96 car. Next driver they're going to have to deal with is Calco, and by the looks of it, they're going to catch Calco just coming out of the carousel on the run down to the kink. So positioning is going to be everything here. Illusion leads, Spirit pulling up right behind. Here comes traffic ahead. They're going to catch them just as they're coming out of the kink by the looks of it. But gotta be careful who's got the better line. They're both good, but Spirit has the draft. He looks inside, looks outside. He's going to try and go a long way around as they go into Canada corner again. Who goes deeper under braking? It's going to be NDL. Who goes nice and deep under braking? He'll slide the car back in front of IARA Spirit. Only one more GT car ahead, and if Fear to Mask elects to pit, it's not going to really matter. Neither of them had a good run there going into the final corner. Fear to Mask is going to stay out, but here comes Illusion and Spirit. They're both going to pit at the same time. You know what this means? They're going to have to deal with all this GT traffic all over again. But Illusion and Spirit are going to pit at the same time. I think Spirit might actually clip Illusion in the pits because he had more fuel already in the car, so he shouldn't have to put as much fuel in the car. His pit stop should be a little bit shorter here. What about TNR? Does RX go ahead and pit this lap as well? Is he going to stay out? No. TNR RX will go ahead and jump into the pits. All right, Illusion is rolling down pit lane. So is HYR Spirit. I can't see either car, really. They might be phased through each other right now. But it looks like the 96 has it, but Spirit is going to be right inside of that 96 car as they blow it back onto the circuit, and it looks like Illusion is, yes, fast enough putting the power down. He has the lead. Okay, now here's the important thing. You've got to realize that's going to take a while to get the tires up to temperature. It's not just going to be, oh, I'm going to have the tires up to temp by the time you go into the Corvette bridge. Tires might not be up to temp until you get through the carousel here. You're going to have to deal with a little bit of GT traffic once more. India Illusion clears the Mercedes. He's going to clear the car. That is Calco, who they clear without too much. No, it's not Calco. That is Anzio they clear without too much issue. Heavy under the brakes. Spirit has a bit worse of a run there. He was right in the draft, and because of that, just didn't jump onto the brakes soon enough. Really sideways there as he tries to get under brakes there under the Corvette bridge. Spirit's having a bit of issue, but it's not enough to shut him away from Illusion right now. They still stay nose to tail. Now they come to the carousel. Their tires should be nice and up to temperature after they get through this here. That should be Ferrari in the Camaro that these two are going to catch, and they're likely going to catch them on the run down to the final corner, I imagine. Spirit has the draft off of NDL Illusion. Not close enough to make a move, not this time at least. But Illusion is nice and wide. There's Fear to Mask coming into the pit, so they will not have to worry about Fear to Mask at least. And they're just going to catch Ferrari in the final corner here. Going to hold up Illusion just a bit. Spirit's not going to be held up nearly as much, so he's going to have a draft on the lead prototype as they accelerate up the hill. All right, now Illusion defends the inside, so Spirit's going to go around the outside. Who goes deeper under braking? Spirit goes deeper, but he takes a wider line, puts the power down. Can he clear him? No, he can't clear him. Illusion's coming back. We're going to be side by side going to the next corner now. And Spirit breaks nice and early, lets Illusion get it, but Illusion slides the rear end out. Spirit is right there. And there is traffic ahead that will be Calco that they're going to have to deal with around the section of the Corvette bridge. Here we go. Spirit back to the inside of Illusion. Neck and neck. Who goes deep under braking? It's Spirit. Boy, is it Spirit who goes deep under brakes. But he slides the car right in front of Illusion. Spirit goes back to the top spot. Big slide by Spirit, and now Illusion's right back behind him. And they're going to come up on GT traffic. Yes, going into turn number 8 here. Spirit brakes early and slides wide, trying to not hit the GT leader, and that's going to let Illusion get alongside Spirit, side by side for just a moment, but HYR holds station here. Just about nose to tail. Okay, Illusion setting himself up to get a good run, going down to Canada corner. He is right in the rear wing. He's going to have a fantastic draft. There's nothing that Spirit's going to be able to do with this draft that Illusion has. He's going to try and go to the inside on the run down to Canada corner, but he backs out. He doesn't want to go too deep here and run the risk of going side by side in the following corner. So Spirit holds the lead for just a little bit longer. Oh, Spirit was wide. Spirit was really wide. And Illusion got to the inside, but he will hop the inside curb and killed his mid-corner speed. He's still right there. He's got a draft on Spirit. Just about nose to tail. Is he going to try and make a big dive into turn 1? I don't think he's close enough to go for it. Illusion brakes slightly earlier than Spirit. Trying to back up the corner entry so he can absolutely power down on corner exit. Spirit leads, and the Illusion runs second, putting some incredible pressure. Spirit is doing everything right thus far. Even though he's been making quite a few mistakes, he's doing everything right to stay ahead of Indiel Illusion. The gap is a tick over 3 miles in Spirit's favor. It just doesn't look like Illusion has anything for Spirit unless Spirit ends up in an accident. And with the way these cars have been running, if they have an accident, there is a 50-50 chance we could have both of them involved in it. It's not really 50-50, it'd be more like 25% chance, but still. Alright, this is going to be NDL Illusion's best shot here. He's going to have a good run through the kink, will have a great draft. He did not have as good of a run as he thought. I think he may have bled off a little bit too much speed, hitting that inside curb. The Spirit holds the lead for just a little bit longer. Spirit's wide, Illusion closes in once more. Runs a little wide, but he's right there under the rear wing of Spirit's car. If he wants to get a run going, this would be the best chance. No engine damage. Spirit's just legitimately pulling on him in straight line. So I guess that IARA Spirit has a setup that is a lot lower on downforce to enable him to just pull away in a straight line. Boy, big, crazy traffic moment there. But there's the counterpoint. Low downforce means that it's going to be hard to get through the corners. And here comes the move. Illusion outside, Spirit inside. Making the outside work going into the braking zone would be huge. But if anyone could do it, I think NDL Illusion might be able to. He's going to brake nice and early, though, hoping that IARA misses the apex. He does! And here comes NDL Illusion. And he's going to power by him after they get out from underneath the Corvette bridge. So Illusion goes back to the top. And this duo just will not stop fighting. And yet, despite this, they have gradually pulled away from 3rd, 4th, and 5th. They are in a zip code of their own here. IARA Spirit is going to be potentially in a good position. If he is close enough to get a draft off of Illusion, he can nail this kink. He can get a great draft and pull right back behind Illusion's rear wing here. Not a great run through the kink. Does he have enough speed to catch the draft off of Illusion and close the gap back down? Gap gets closer and closer. Illusion's wide. Illusion is very wide, trying to find traction for those rear tires. But it does look like Illusion has it. Okay, we're going to be forced to do a Twitch-mandated ad break here. I've pushed it off as long as I can, but we will be back momentarily as we ride on board with IARA Spirit as he continues to stalk NDL Illusion about a third of the way through our stint here. We'll be back shortly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Road America and our final stint for IARA's 12-hour enduro here at Road America, and Illusion runs right into the back of GT traffic, and that's going to keep Spirit right behind him. Spirit wasn't really close enough to capitalize, but it does seem like Illusion has a setup that's a little bit more downforce focused, that's letting him save tires a bit better and run through the corners more, but Spirit has such a great straight line speed that anytime Illusion makes a mistake, Spirit ends up being right there, and Spirit's straight line ability lets him put the pressure right on Illusion. However, just for the moment, it looks like the gap is opening up back in NDL Illusion's favor. Illusion is going to have to try and get a nice big 3/4 of a lap lead on Spirit between now and the end of the event if he wants to steal the win for the NDL team, but it just doesn't look like it's going to happen. While Illusion is definitely faster than Spirit, I don't think Illusion is so fast that he's just going to be able to destroy Spirit like that. Might be able to get a half lap on Spirit, but 3/4 might be asking a lot. It may come down to accidents rather than just pace. TNR RX, after having gone off earlier, has cycled back to third on merit right now. Granted, Dangerous Hemi has already made their second stop, so that's kind of helped, but RX does look like they're on track to be third in this stint, which is fitting because this team looks like they're going to be third overall. They had a disastrous, nightmarish stint 5, which has basically taken them out of any serious running for the event victory overall, despite leading earlier on. Meanwhile, in the GT category, oh my gosh, that was a little close. In the GT category, Calco has led basically since the start of the green flag. Same thing we saw back in Stint 2, just Calco cruising around as he is on the Ironman challenge right now. No, I'm sorry, Calco's not, that's Anzio who's on the Ironman challenge. But Calco, who went ahead and led flag to flag in Stint 1, then also this car won in Stint 3. Now Calco is trying to go ahead and lead flag to flag in category here in the final stint. Ferrari has had several results. This car has had several results in the podium positions today. And Ferrari trying to bring home one more podium. Overall victory just does not seem to be in the cards for them, but still it has been a respectable drive for the Chevy Camaro entry. Third place right now is formulaic, but that's just because they have been running a little bit longer on tires. It's really realistically going to be Anzio, who is fourth on track right now, who's going to be third overall. Anzio, one of two drivers doing the Ironman, all 6 stints, all solo. So an incredible performance, incredible drive by Anzio throughout this run. Then you have Nerdy Chimera, who is leading in the bottom category, the GT4 amateur category, but they are like 5 miles out from winning overall, so they would need some absolutely catastrophic things to happen to the Mustang who is ahead. And this is Fear to Mask, who is last place in the top GT4 category, the GT4 Pro category. This is BFL Striker, who's already made his 2 stops, but he's close to Nerdy Chimera, but not super close. And then you have Hillbane, who is about a half mile down. So right now, I do think it's possible that we'll see BFL Striker's number 49 team here pull off a win in the amateur category, assuming that there's not a catastrophic accident that derails their run. So right now, it seems like the majority of the battles on track have pretty much dissolved at this stage of the event. Everyone seems to have settled into their pace, and NDL Illusion has finally opened up a gap on HYR Spirit. Illusion just needs to put his head down and try and open up as big of a gap and hope that fortune falls in the NDL team's favor for HYR Spirit. While he has lost NDL Illusion, he has done a good job slowing Illusion down for the first 35 minutes of this run. This is a 100-minute stint, basically. So he spent basically the entire first third of the stint slowing Illusion down. So even if Illusion opens up some can of whoop-my-ass pace, there is a legitimate possibility that it just won't be enough. He's going to run out of time. He has to make up, like I said, about 3/4 of a lap, so a little bit over 3 miles on HYR Spirit to have a legitimate shot at this here. I'm not saying it can't happen, but it's going to be rough. Spirit would likely have to be involved in some sort of spin or an accident to make that possible. And the thing is, both of these cars have had incidents throughout the stints today, but when it comes down to it, the NDL car is the one that has been much more accident and spin prone than the HYR entry. as Calco, your leader in GT4, who is just barely going to be able to stay on circuit here. And here comes HYR Spirit, who just denies him the ideal lane going through the final corner. But yeah, and Calco's opened up a respectable gap on Ferrari. He doesn't have to worry too much about anything there. Real quickly, just to give you an idea, these two are two leaders pitted at the same lap. India Illusion, 26% left in the fuel tank. He is at 26% tire wear right now, but Spirit, who is on a lower downforce level, he is at 36% in the fuel tank, 29% on tire wear right now. So again, Spirit has technically a little bit more flexibility. However, HYR Spirit just does not have the same level of flexibility as the fuel numbers would suggest, just because he is burning through his tires at an accelerated rate here. Gotta be clean track ahead for our top two in the prototype category for a little bit here. AOE Mutiny has gone ahead and made their second out of 4 mandatory stops thus far now. So it does look like the drivers near the back of the prototype grid are making their stops a little bit earlier. Not really sure what the if they're trying to go for anything crazy, or if it's just a matter of, look, we're just here to run this down to the end. Real quickly, looking at our GT category leaders, Calco is at 10% left in the fuel tank, so he might not pit this lap, but he'll likely pit the lap after this one. Ferrari, who is in the Camaro just a little bit behind, is at 6.8%, so he might choose to pit at the end of this lap, but his tires have been running at roughly the same rate. And then Formulaic here, who is running third, he is at a little bit less than 10%, so maybe this lap might be the lap afterwards. And then Anzio, who throughout most of the events, the stints that we've seen this car in, Anzio has elected to pit earlier than everyone else. So it looks like Anzio is on the same strategy. He'll likely jump ahead of Formulaic. I don't think he's going to jump ahead of Ferrari, but I think he'll be able to jump ahead of Formulaic once Formulaic pits. And Calco is going to pit this time, so he still has a little bit of fuel to tank, but he's pitting this time. Does Ferrari pit this lap? I would imagine you would pit this lap. Got less than 5% in the tank, and yes, sure enough, he will jump into the pit. This time by, Formulaic will almost certainly pit this time by as well. He does have the fuel to go longer, but why would you risk it? Again, for the Mercedes team, it's just been frustrating because they had disconnects in the first two stints. But no, he's actually going to stay out, so he's going to try and take the overall stint lead away. However, briefly it would be from Calco, who still has not yet come out of pit lane. And there goes Formulaic. So even if it's only by a little bit, Formulaic will be our second different leader in the GT category now. I don't think Calco is just going to hang out here cautiously. He's going to cut with that number 64, get by him, and try to get around this Mercedes as fast as reasonably possible, I imagine. Here comes a move to the inside, but he's not going to push it. Not through turn 6. But he is right behind the Mercedes. Again, the Mercedes is on worn-out tires. He's only leading because he is off sequence. Oh, they're 3 wide! It's one of the prototypes, and Calco around the outside makes the overtake stick. Man, every time they go 3 wide out of turn 7 there, it is one of the most incredible things when they pull that off. It is so sweet to watch them make that happen. But Calco goes back to the lead overall in the GT4 Pro category. Trying to cover off the Mercedes so that way the Mercedes doesn't cause him any big aero issues as they go through the kink this time. Yeah, it should be pretty clearly done. And look at this. Our leaders and prototypes are about to come up here to category traffic, lower category traffic here. Illusion is being caught by HYR Spirit. He's going to clear the 49 without too much problem there. And Spirit is the one who's held up, so Illusion's actually going to be able to extend his lead over Spirit just a little bit more now. Goes to the inside of the Porsche. No issue there. Spirit really is not having a good time with traffic. And now Illusion's going to catch another Porsche in a very bad position. He hits him! Runs right into the back of him, going into the kink. No damage, but there he comes! And then Spirit! That got chaotic, and Spirit's by! Spirit blows by Illusion! Illusion hit the back of traffic in the worst part of the track, and Spirit blows by Illusion! All the gap that Illusion had opened up is gone in a snap of a finger! And mind you, Illusion is on a really low downforce setup, so even though Spirit is on a low downforce setup, so Illusion may have the draft, but he's not going to be able to just pull up alongside. He needs to be able to get a good run out of the corner and the draft in order to pull alongside Spirit, or hope that Spirit's tire wear causes him to lose the apex in some of these corners. The prototype fight at the head of the field keeps heating up, and just as India Illusion was doing everything right and starting to slowly open the gap up on Spirit, traffic derails him. It wasn't as bad as the full accidents, the damaged cars that we were seeing in the earlier stints, but it's been the tale of the IndyL team all event long. They have been arguably one of, if not the fastest drivers here, but it is constant failure when it comes to navigating traffic, and here he comes! He's gonna try and go around the outside under the Corvette bridge! He's going to commit to it. He is not going to commit to it. He backs off. He's going to have a nice tight exit, though. He stays right behind Spirit through here. Okay, and they're going to be a little bit before they catch the next bit of traffic, so they should be able to navigate the carousel and the kink without too much issue here. Right on board with Illusion as he is tucked up behind Spirit. Illusion should be able to close the gap down on HYR Spirit through here. Now Spirit's going to fire out of the carousel like a bat out of hell, like a bat out of the bat cave. But Illusion should be able to get a good run through the kink. He's got a draft. He's holding on, stationed with Spirit. If Spirit leaves the inside line open, misses the braking zone, Illusion can get back alongside. Is it going to happen? No, not this time. Spirit holds station over Illusion for now. Bit of a twitch, bit of a slide. And that is... Who is that who's went off there? Oh, that's the Camaro of Ferrari who's gone off. And here comes Spirit and Illusion. They both pay at the same time last time, and they're both paying at the same time this time as well. Is there damage on Ferrari's car? No damage, but it seems like right after making a pit stop, Ferrari has gone off. Still in a position he should be able to take home second comfortably, but he is not even a remote threat to Calco now. RX, is he going to go ahead and pit this lap? Yes, he is. So now we look at the fight between Spirit and Illusion. And Spirit is going to be ahead of Illusion as they come out of the pits again. Seen this before, we're going to see it again now. These two are putting on one heck of a show. As they accelerate out, they're going to have to deal with a little bit of traffic. And again, it's going to take a little bit of time to get their tires up to temperature. It's not going to be a matter of by the time they get under the Corvette bridge, the tires will be good. Their tires are going to take until about the time they get to the carousel before they're up to full temps. Illusion has the draft off of Spirit, but Spirit has such a low downforce setup, he's able to partially negate Illusion's draft. Thing is that Spirit has to brake nice and early going into the braking zones, so he doesn't slide wide. Spirit closes in significantly. GT traffic pulls off there so as not to hinder our prototype leaders. There's going to be one more car ahead. Oh, and that's another car that's gone off there in the carousel. That is Formulaic, who is creeping along. He's out of fuel, and Formulaic has gone out of fuel. He's on the racing line, but has completely run out of fuel. And here comes the fight for a lead in the prototypes. They don't know that there's a GT car ahead. Out of fuel. Is there going to be enough room? There's just barely enough room. Side by side. Someone has to back out in the kink. Who's it going to be? Illusion backs out. Spirit holds on to the lead. That was tighter than it needed to be. Hellbane is slow. Oh, and that's a GT prototype that's had an incident! And the prototype has hit Hellbane. Which prototype is that? That's third place. That is the RX entry. So it looks like Hellbane was backing up so as not to hit the GT car, the out-of-fuel GT car, formulaic, and RX ran into the back of him. Drama on top of drama here as this event goes on. And at the front it is still Spirit versus Illusion. Bit of a slide. Spirit didn't have a great run coming out of the back straightaway. Illusion's going to try and make it work around the long way around the outside. But Spirit has nice straight line speed. He'll be able to deny him. He's going to have to brake early, but he's going to be able to deny him the ideal line. He goes deep. He goes really deep. Did he go too deep? He did, but in the process, he denies the 96, the ideal line out. Spirit holds on to the station over Illusion for now. Coming up on, I believe that is Ferrari once again now. GT traffic won't randomize the top two. Not this time. It's happened before, but not this time. And Formulaic and Hellbane finally make it into the pits now. Spirit leads. Illusion runs in second. Illusion's got a great run out of the kink this time, but Spirit's low downforce setup means that's going to be so much harder for Spirit to pull up alongside. For Illusion to pull up alongside, that is. But if Spirit misses a zone, or misses a ideal braking zone or ideal line through the corner, Illusion has enough downforce to just destroy him in a corner. That's kind of been the story of this duo's fight all day long today. Well, not all day long, but all stint long. These cars were honestly a little bit more even in performance than the earlier stints. All right, down the straightaway. Illusion got the draft, tried to pull out alongside, but again, Spirit has such a low downforce setup that even when Illusion gets the draft, it's not enough for him to get alongside. This time, Illusion's going to brake really early for turn number one, hoping that Spirit runs wide. That's not what happens. He stays in the draft, but he's not able to get alongside. Come out to the back straightaway again. That is the Mercedes GT that had just run out of fuel a lap ago. Won't cause an issue for this duo this time. That is the category leader in GT4, who they both get by without too much issue there. But the prototype fight has been the fight to watch all day long today, especially now. Spirit holds station over India Illusion, but it has gone back and forth between these two for a while. And for Spirit, he is doing everything he needs to. If the HYR car just is within visible range of India Illusion, then without a doubt, HYR is going to win in the prototype category overall. However, that HYR car is running a risky setup strategy, a very low downforce setup, more likely to miss corners, have accidents, potentially due to self-inflicted problems and extreme tire wear. Has RX pitted again for another accident here? Yes, another accident for RX. That's 2 accidents in a single lap here. All right, we're going to go ahead and ride on board with India Illusion for a flying lap. We've done it once with Spirit. Now we're going to fly for a lap with India Illusion for an idea what a flying lap is like in one of the top 2 categories here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to not really a race, it feels like, more like a feast. Anyone who looked at the menu for today's event and correctly predicted that the main core of all 6 stints today was going to be this rivalry between the HYR team and the NDL team, well, you should probably go and buy a lottery ticket. I don't think anyone anticipated these two teams being the one going back and forth all event long. Typically, while we've seen both of these teams in a lot of different events, they normally don't run around with each other. NDL drivers don't typically run the same thing that HYR drivers do, and even when they are in similar events, normally they're in different categories, and in things like Tour, they're usually in completely different lobbies. But today, HYR has brought their A game, and NDL, while they brought their best speed, their inability to stay clean have made them right pickings for the HYR team, who has been just a little bit cleaner when it comes to dealing with traffic. It's not been a walkaway by HYR. It has been a knockout, knuckle down, drag out fight from stint 1 all the way to this point. But it does look like Spirit's going to end up bringing the HYR team the overall win in distance, but there's still the battle. There's still the matter of pride of who's going to be able to win the final of these 6 stints right now. And honestly, that could go in either direction. These two will not leave each other alone. TNRRX, FFEX, that team was set for 3rd place overall. It might be a little bit compromised, and here comes around the outside by the 96. You go around the outside. He did it. We finally got it. Someone finally made the outside overtake in that corner. It has taken all day long. It has taken the track to cool down and go to nighttime, but we finally had the overtake there in the second to last corner around the outside on 2 cars that were on the same category. Finally, an NDL Illusion now goes back in front of HYR Spirit. I didn't think it was possible. All day long, all race long, I've seen drivers try it, and even prototypes on GT drivers could not make it stick. I said multiple times, oh, you can't do it, but NDL Illusion really popped to it. A fantastic power move around the outside in a corner that, for the most part, you could not make an outside overtake on. Great job by Illusion. And HYR Spirit still runs right behind. But I think now Spirit may have pushed the tires a little too far. This is about the point in the last tire run where Spirit started falling off as well. They're about even on fuel, but again, with Illusion Rain, a higher downforce setup, they're going to be able to preserve their tires a little bit more. Dangus Hemi making their 3rd stop of the day. So I'll briefly push them down to 4th position here. Oh, not a good run for NDL Illusion. HYR Spirit has a run. Boy, does HYR Spirit have a run! With the draft and the superior top end, does he go for a dive? No, he's actually going to back out of it. Doesn't want to do anything too crazy, but Illusion is a little bit sideways, getting all over the curbs on the exit of Canada corner. Tucked up right behind the 96 again. Misses the entry to the final corner, but has a tight exit. Trying to set up for a great draft run. Down the front straightaway, then follow the 96 and probably go for a move. Going down the backstretch this time. Coming up on a little bit of traffic ahead. Oh, that Porsche is going to hold up Illusion just a little bit. On corner exit, not unbearably so, but just a bit. Spirit was held up as well, though, so it kind of neutralizes out between the duo. And now onto the back straightaway. Spirit's got the draft. Spirit has a better top end, but I don't think he's going to have enough time to pull alongside. Oh, he's going for it. He's going around the outside this time. Goes deep. Boy, does he go deep. The 96 slides in front. A little bit more GT traffic ahead. That is a Mustang, I believe. Yeah, that is the number 64 Mustang. Oh! And Illusion drops the tire in the dirt. Here comes Spirit, but Spirit's not really good at getting under the brakes because of how much lower the downforce is. You have to be a lot more aggressive on the brakes, getting into the corners. All right, Illusion should be able to put together a good run through the carousel. Spirit will have Illusion's draft going into the kink, but it's going to come down to who has a better run going through the kink here. It was pretty even, but I think the draft is going to work out in Spirit's favor. He's going to have a shot. Does he try and make the move? Is he going to go to the inside? No, he's going to back out. He willingly backs out. He's not going to push the issue going into Canada corner on the inside. You don't want to be side by side into this corner, at least not if you're a Spirit. Spirit is in a car with such a low downforce setup. I don't think you can really confidently hold the outside line into that corner. So as long as Illusion defends the outside going into Canada corner, and he doesn't miss the apex of Canada corner, I don't think Spirit will be able to get by him. I think, not fingers crossed, but like, no, fingers crossed, I'm not talking out my ass, really. I'm not too terribly invested. I like drivers on NDL, I like drivers on HYR, I'm just happy that we're having a really good fight to the end here. But fingers crossed, I'm not talking out my, bumhole here. Spirit still runs right behind Illusion, but is not really pushing the issue under the braking zone here. Stays close enough to put some aero wash into our leader's scenario, but not really trying to push for move for position. And these two are just a little bit closer. When do they make their next stop now? Illusion is at 24.7% tire wear, 30% left in the fuel tank. HYR Spirit is at 30% left in the fuel tank, 26% tire wear. So this time at least, Illusion put a little bit less fuel in the tank to try and negate some of the time he was losing in pit lane, I guess. So if they end up pitting at the same time on top of each other, they should overall end up right on top of each other when they come out in the exact same distance. Neither of them had a great run going into Canada corner there, partially because they both had to react to the Camaro GT car in different ways. Your leader in GT, Calco, is going to go ahead and duck into the pits this time by now. But now we are at that point where it seems like in the latter half of the tire life, Illusion is able to just start gradually opening the gap on Spirit. But again, these two have been on top of each other for so long. We have a little less than 35 minutes left in the running. There's just not enough time for Illusion to open up a big gap on Spirit. I think Spirit has basically completed their mission. Now, obviously, if they could win the stint, they'd love to. But I do legitimately think that Spirit is in a position to where they could let Illusion gradually pull away and they could still bring home the overall win for the HYR team. That's Anzio, it looks like they've cleared there. So for the moment, this fight at the head of the prototype fight has the head of the prototype field has calmed down a bit. Every other position on track pretty much decided here. Anzio is going to get ahead of Fear to Mask because Anzio is on his own strategy he has been playing earlier than everyone else throughout the entire time. Needy Chimera still has yet to make their third stop. BFL Striker has been involved in some incidents, so Needy Chimera and BFL Striker might end up in some kind of a fight to the end. The problem is, though, that Striker has been involved in accidents, and they're going to have to make at least one extra stop, which is going to shunt them well down the order. Formulaic, after running out of fuel earlier, and then causing an accident between Hellbane and RX, is back on circuit and might have a shot at running down Striker, depending on how the rest of this goes. Other than that, I think Formulaic is going to be locked to last in GT, assuming there are no disconnects or crazy accidents here. So we have focused enough on the prototype fight. We're going to go ahead, as we come up to an ad break, we're going to ride on board with Calco for one last time here in the nighttime, see what a flying lap looks like on board with what's going to be our GT4 Pro winning BMW here at Road America. Real quick, as you look back at the head of our prototype field here. I thought I knocked down a mandatory ad break. Apparently Twitch did not let me do so. I'm gonna have to try again in a bit, sadly. I do apologize for that. But it does look like our fight at the head of the field has calmed down a little bit now. Alright, this is going to be where it gets interesting. Coming up on GT traffic again, on the run up to the kink. That should have been an accident right there. I don't know how in the world that wasn't an accident. Thing goes off again. And here comes Illusion into the pits, and here comes Spirit as well. Mind you, Dangerous Hemi was almost about to go a lap down. Our top two and prototypes are on track to put everyone except each other a lap down here. Illusion and Spirit have been on something else. Now, granted, the third fastest prototype has been involved in 2 accidents within a period of 3 laps. We'll likely have to make a 5th pit stop before this is over. So that's definitely had something to do with it. But yeah, Illusion and Spirit have been on an absolute madhouse today. Illusion's going to maintain advantage over Spirit as they come out of pit lane once more. So everyone in the prototypes have made at least the 3 stops out of the 4 they need to. Same thing in the GT category. With the exception of Hellbane, everyone in GT has made 3 of their 4 mandatory stops. BFL Striker is likely going to have to make a 5th stop late in the event, which will shunt him farther down the grid here. Okay, Spirit has been in DL Illusions better early on in the tire life here. Are we going to see that again this time? Tires still not quite yet up to temperature. They'll get up to temperature about the time they get into the carousel here. Seems like for right now, Spirit's not really in a position to run down Illusion. I think the gap is just big enough that while Spirit has superior straight line speed, he needs that draft to really close in. He's just not quite close enough to catch the draft on Illusion. Now, if Illusion gets held up by traffic again, that would definitely push Spirit back into it. But I think Illusion is finally in a spot where he can pull away just a little bit from Spirit and breathe a little easy. Big twitch there by Spirit going through the second to last corner. Illusion will be held up very briefly by GT Traffic coming out of the final corner. What in the devil? Did Bane end up in an accident? How did that happen right in front of the leaders? That is like the 4th time this Mustang has had an incident in this stint. Well, it definitely has forced Illusion to back off because now Spirit is right behind Illusion. So Illusion definitely had to back off if the Mustang was doing who knows what. Coming out of the final corner. So our fight for prototype lead is all alive all over again. Spirit closes in. Boy, does he close in a straight, but he's not going to be able to go super deep under braking. So Illusion should be able to stay ahead of Spirit over the next few corners now. Accelerating uphill now. tucked up right behind, and they're going to have to deal with one GT car going through the carousel here. That's Anzio. Oh, and there's contact, and Illusion shunts Spirit off! And that will decide the Stint win. That will decide the Stint win. Definitely going to probably go down as a little bit controversial, but there was traffic ahead trying to fit 3 cars of 2 different categories going in to the carousel, and it just didn't work out. There wasn't enough room, and HYR Spirit gets shunted way out of the circuit. That opens up the gap in Illusion's favor. The only downside for Illusion is that this is nowhere near enough for Illusion to start clawing back that 3-mile gap he has on Spirit. Now Spirit just needs to put his head down and just click off good laps to the end if they want to go ahead and bring it home to the end. But I think that's going, unless Illusion ends up in an instant of his own, that is going to decide the Stint victory, likely in favor of NDL Illusion. Hellbane finally coming in to make their 3rd stop. They will still have to make one more stop in the next 20 minutes. We have about a little less than 25 minutes left in the event, so everyone will have to knock out their 4th and final stop with about 20 minutes left in the affair. Illusion in a relatively fortunate spot now. He's not going to catch traffic for a while, and when he does, he's going to be catching the majority of them in a straight line here. So you can just head down and focus on lap times. I think it's going to be the same case for Spirit as well, though, to be fair, but not quite as much. Dangus Hemi, who has been paying a little bit earlier than everyone else in the prototype category, will likely be the first one to make his final stop here. Probably within the next 10 minutes. Probably the next 4 laps, something like that. AOE Mutiny, not been a great run, but they are still alive and they're still kicking here. 4th place might be in their cards just off the back of RX, likely having to make an entire extra stop and being involved in 2 different incidents over the course of the day. There's a very slow GT. What is going on with Hellbane? He is incredibly slow coming out of the pits. How did he wreck coming out of pit road? Did the Mustang hit the inside wall coming out of pit road? Are you kidding me? This is like the 5th instant that the number 64 Mustang has been involved in tonight. Oh my god, are you serious? Are you kidding me? Alright, well, I mean, at least Hellbane won't have to worry about making an extra stop or anything like that. He's so off pace. It's just such a frustration. Anyways, with 22 minutes left. Well, Formulaic definitely doesn't have to worry about finishing last, because Hellbane's definitely going to end up in that position. Gonna be interesting, the fight between BFL Striker and Nerdy Chimera. The Striker is ahead of Chimera, but likely has to make one extra stop, but Chimera just has not had any pace whatsoever today. And Striker's gonna have to make an extra stop. Chimera is likely gonna have to make, well, we know Chimera has to make a stop as well. So that fight is gonna get interesting, because Striker might end up winning this event despite having to make an entire extra pit stop. Also, I do want to say thanks to, that is Flavored Adams. Oh, Flavored Adams, yeah. I do want to say thanks to Adams. I do see you in the comments. I don't normally focus on the comments very much unless the on-track action really is calmed down, and that is the scenario now. HYR Spirit trying to run down the gap between himself and Illusion. To be fair, Spirit is running down the gap between himself and Illusion right now. Bane is creeping along here. He's gonna have GT traffic just about to catch him here in the kink. Won't be too much of an issue, at least. And should be clean, so I don't think Hellbane's going to be caught by anyone else before the end here. All right, India Illusion now going to start dealing with traffic. That's going to be GT right in front of him. BMW goes deep, clears him under braking with no issue whatsoever. And accelerates away. Anzio making his fourth and final stop with 20 minutes left in the stint. Illusion, I think he's going to catch the next bit of traffic here on the run down to Canada Corner. Spirit's going to have to deal with a bit of traffic going into the kink. So I think this is really going to compromise Spirit's run here. He's not, I don't think he might be fast enough. He might be able to clear the Porsche. Yeah, the Porsche moves out of the way. Okay, so he will clear them before they get to the kink. All right, now here comes Illusion coming up on GT traffic just as they get down to Canada Corner. Goes nice and deep. Clears the Mercedes without too much issue. He'll get to the inside and clear that Mustang, the lead Mustang, without too much issue as well. For Spirit, he's now going to have to deal with this duo, but he's going to catch them both in a nice straight line. So, oh, they're both pit, so they're not even going to be remotely an issue for them. So Striker, Formulaic, and Hillbane all jump into the pits at the same time. All right, is Bane going to have another accident here coming out of pit road? No. Huh? 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 There's no way. There's no way. All right, I'm going to guess now that there's got to be some sort of issue here. There's no way that Bane pitted and didn't repair the car. There's no way on God's greener earth that's what happened. I'm going to chalk that up to a Forza glitch. I've seen Forza glitches before where it doesn't update repair damages or change tires. I'm going to chalk that up to a Forza glitch on Bane's part. There's no way he didn't repair the car. I refuse to believe that Bane is having that many issues. I refuse to believe that Bane has injected that much venom to try and beat Batman that he has forgotten to repair the damage on the Bane-mobile. So the gap between Illusion and Spirit has continued to come down. Dangus is going ahead and pitting now, so that will put AOA Mutiny and TNR RX back ahead of him for the moment. RX has already made 4 required stops, but he is likely going to have to make a 5th one because of all the accidents earlier that he was involved in. He's almost out of fuel as is right now. AOE Mutiny, we know, still has to make 1 more stop as well. As we look at Spirit and Illusion, our top 2. Spirit can stay out for almost as long as he wants. He has almost complete freedom when it comes to making their final stop, and the same applies for Illusion. And while Illusion, I think, finally is starting to swing the momentum back in his favor, it's a little bit too late. Unless Spirit has a catastrophic accident, HYR is going to walk out of here with the overall event win. India Illusion wins the battle, but is not set to win the war. I'm going to check this on Bane. It says he's completely damaged. I refuse to believe that. Well, if he pits again, we know that there was just a completely bonkers incident. No, he's staying out. Okay. Well, not worried about it then. For the GT-AM fight, Nerdy Chimera still has yet to make their final stop. When they do, they're likely going to end up behind BFL Striker, but will be on fresher tires trying to run Striker down to the end. For the GT Pro category, it has been all Calco all day long. He has been cruising without issue today. Ferrari has had a few off-track excursions, but it does look like he has enough pace to come home respectable second, but he is going to be out of contention. Fear Damask is pitting right now for their final time, so we'll likely see Anzio. Anzio might be right there on top of Fear Damask after pits are over. So if that ends up being the case, the Mask will have a bit of a tire advantage, but I do think Anzio should be better. And again, Anzio, one of your 2 drivers, doing the Ironman Challenge today, running every single stint all day today. 12 hours of racing. Technically not really 12 hours. It's really a little bit closer to about 10 hours and 20 minutes. No, it would be closer to 10 hours, but it's still a ridiculous amount of time to be standing in front of the TV racing these cars. The gap between the top 2 continues to slowly close down in HYR Spirit's favor. But our top 2 both will have to pit again sooner rather than later here. The question is going to be, when do you pit? It does look like Illusion has ended up with a small amount of engine damage that's going to hurt their straight line speed. That would work out very slightly in Spirit's favor. But I don't think it's going to be enough to just let Spirit catch Illusion before they make their next round of stops. And also, mind you, they have put RX and Dangus Hemi both a lap down for now. Now, those 2 drivers have already made their final stops. Illusion and Spirit will pit again, so I imagine those 2 will end up barely cycling back onto the lead lap here before this is all said and done and over with. Calco pits out of the lead. He is joined by Ferrari, Kane out second. Also, Nerdy Chimera finally pits out of the lead in the AM category. So we will see BFL Striker go back to the lead despite making an entire extra stop. BFL Striker will go back to the lead in the GT AM class. And AOE Mutiny has gone ahead and made a stop. So I'm curious to see where Mutiny is going to end up in relation to RX and Dangus Hemi. So the gap between Illusion and Spirit seems to have stabilized for the moment. On fresher tires, Spirit seems to have Illusion's number, but as the tires fall off, things gradually fall back into Illusion's favor here. I'm honestly shocked that Spirit hasn't elected to just go ahead and jump into the pits just a little bit earlier to try and bang out a few more laps on fresher tires. But thus far, Illusion and Spirit have been paying at the same time all event long. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and ride on board. Oh, well, not yet, we won't. But we're going to ride on board shortly here on our GT AM leader, BFL Striker for a fly lap, giving you an idea as to what looks like will be the overall winner of the event in GTM, what a flying lap looks like on board with them here at the night. And that will be our last ad break of the race as well. After that, we will be here to the end of the event. Our leaders are dealing with just a little bit of traffic in suboptimal places right now. Spirit going to be able to clear the Porsche before the King? Yes, he does. All right. We're going to ride on board with BFL Striker for a flying lap here around Road America as we knock out our last mandatory ad break. And when we come back, we'll run this race to its checkered flag conclusion here at Road America. That was more than a little bit dangerous there. All right, and that was a full lap on board with our leader in GT Am, both in this stint and what we believe is overall in distance. But we are watching HYR Spirit as, despite being run off track by NDL Illusion, again, not intentionally, I do want to make that very clear, they were just trying to navigate traffic in the carousel. It was not intentional, but after Illusion ran Spirit off track, Spirit has been putting on some monstrous laps and has run NDL Illusion down. And they both have one more stop to make here. And with Spirit typically having a bit of an advantage on fresher tires, they're likely going to have to pit at the end of this lap, because you are required to pit before that race timer hits 25 minutes left. So I imagine Illusion and Spirit are both going to be pitting this time. And after they make a stop, I think it's going to be these two going for the win. Illusion might have it, but Spirit has done the impossible and driven his way back from a off-track excursion, really trying to bring home a stint win for himself and for the team to really put the cherry on top of what seems to be a guaranteed prototype victory for the HYR team in their unexpected rivalry with the NDL team today. Hellbang making their 5th stop of the day. Sweet Christ. Ferrari has actually made 5 stops. And is still going to bring home 2nd pretty comfortably, although he is about 40% of a lap behind your leader. Here comes Illusion into the pits, and here comes Spirit. This is it, the final stop. This is the one we're all waiting for. And after this, both cars will have new tires, and they're going to have about 8 minutes, a little less than 8 minutes, it's going to be closer to 7.5 minutes to use them. So we're going to see them knock out about 3 full laps and a little bit more of a 4th lap, and that's going to be the run to the end here. This could get wild, folks. We're also going to see RX, I believe, get back onto the lead lap briefly. And so should AOE Mutiny. Actually, all 5 of our prototype drivers are now back on the lead lap for now. So if our leaders end up catching prototype traffic, that could definitely make things interesting here. Not really any other serious battles of note at this stage of the event. Everyone else is kind of solidified themselves. It has been this fight at the head of the prototype field all day long, and now with only about 7 minutes left, it looks like it's going to be these two going down to the end here. What can HYR Spirit do to Illusion? He's got fresh tires. Neither driver have to worry about tires falling off, and these early laps in fresh rubber has typically been where Spirit has been able to run Illusion down and really been able to take the fight directly to him. We know that the war is basically over, but it's about battle. It's about a stint win. It's about some sort of pride saying, hey, look, I didn't screw over my team. I did what I needed to at the bare minimum. It's going to be clean track ahead for a long time in regards to GT traffic. I cannot tell you, though, if they are going to catch Mutiny or Hemi, who are in their own little stalking battle for 4th right now. But it's going to be a long time before they catch GT traffic, if they even catch them. I think we're going to see them catch at least 2 GT cars. Beyond that, it's going to get a little bit up in the air, though. As time continues to tick away here at Road America. Big slide off by Illusion there. Spirit trying to close in just a bit. They should have their tires already nice and up to temp. All right, Spirit, as long as he nails the exit here, is going to be able to get the draft off of Illusion. And if Illusion ends up with Spirit in his draft, it's going to be a knife fight to the end here for this stint. Okay, so they're going to catch at least 3 GT cars before this is over. I don't know about anything else past that, though. You're going to have this lap and about one more full lap afterwards, and then part of a third lap. Likely going to end their race somewhere around the, somewhere between the Corvette bridge and just before getting into the carousel. That's why I imagined where our leaders here in Prototype are going to be. All right, here we are. Spirit's caught Illusion. This is it. The fight's back. Spirit is back with a vengeance. A vengeful Spirit goes to the inside and will break the Illusion at the head of the field. And IARA goes back to the lead, which is a little less than 5 minutes left here at Road America. Got the lead back just before they got to the Corvette bridge. These are the corners where Illusion generally should be a little bit stronger than Spirit. Coming up on a bit of traffic here. It's that same number 64 Mustang. This time, though, he's not going to upend this lead battle in Prototypes too much. 24 slides a little bit wide. Here comes Illusion. Illusion wants to try and make it around the outside as they go into the carousel. Nothing this time. Not anything here. 96 looks to the inside of the 24. He is right under the rear wing. You don't want to be side by side in the kink, but this could be a good shot for Illusion. Illusion used all the track. Spirit immediately went to try and defend the inside line. Illusion not close enough to make a dive, not under braking. Spirit's wide, but he uses the power to pull ahead of Illusion. Hold station for now. Now through that tricky Paul Tracy corner and into the final corner. All right, with a little less than 4 minutes left, so they're about to start their last full lap here at Road America. And this stint win could go in either direction. They're going to catch at least one, if not two more GT cars before this is over. There is an outside possibility they catch Prototype traffic as well. I don't think it will happen, but there is an outside chance of that. And typically, when dealing with traffic, cars that have lower downforce and higher straight line speed will have the advantage going through traffic, but that's not a guarantee. It's about a 70-30% thing, and we have seen traffic screw over both of these drivers and both of these cars throughout the entirety of the day today. That should be formulaic, I believe, in the Mercedes that they're about to come up on next. No, that is not. That is, that's the mask, isn't it? Yeah, that's the mask. Around the outside, Spirit bled a bit of time. Here comes Illusion to the outside. Neck and neck under braking. The 24 slides wide and puts his car back in front of the 96. Now back into the carousel. This is where Illusion is going to be really strong. Gets right behind the 24. Should be able to get a perfect draft on him on the run down. Coming up on more GT traffic. Both drivers have to be really careful dealing with traffic here. They'll clear without too much issue. They should only have to deal with one more GT car before this is over. Into the braking, Canada corner. Illusion trying to give himself a nice clean exit. He stays right behind Spirit. But does he have the ability to get by? One's a little wide. 2 minutes left, so they're going to do the majority of this final lap here. We saw these two cars neck and neck fighting for second way back in Stint 2 it was, and the IARA car barely ended up ahead by about 3/4 of his car's length. Are we going to see a repeat of that now in the final stint for the victory here? And that is Prototype traffic ahead. There's a very high likelihood they're going to catch Dangus Hemi before this is over, and that could really turn things into a wild card. Up onto traffic. That is Ferrari that they'll have to overtake for a last time. They'll catch them coming onto the straightaway. Straight line speed works in Spirit's favor, but Illusion is there. Spirit needs to nail the braking zone. Don't let Illusion get to your inside if you can help it. Spirit doesn't get too aggressive on defense there. Only misses the apex by about a foot, if not that, maybe only 11 inches, so he holds station over Illusion. Through the twitchy bits. And yeah, that is traffic ahead in the same category. That is Dangus Hemi just up the road. They might catch Dangus Hemi going through the carousel and the kink. This could get wild, folks. Right on board with Indiel Illusion. Right behind Spirit. There's less than 45 seconds left. If Illusion wants to get this sit win, he's going to have to go for something big, but he slides into the dirt. He's going to bleed off valuable time. This could be problematic. Is that going to be it? Is that going to be what it takes for Spirit to win this? into Canada corner for the final time. Illusion trying to close back in on Spirit. Spirit now has traffic ahead. The clock is ticking away. He is right there behind Dangus Hemi, and ahead of him is AOE Mutiny. Is this going to be enough? I think Spirit's going to get the draft off of the prototype ahead, and we'll use that to stay ahead as they come down. Time's up. Over. Plow. And at the end of it all, HYR Spirit, with an overtake right after the final pit stop, after getting run off track, is going to come back and will not only win the final stint, but he's going to bring the HYR team as a whole victory. And IARA's 12 hours of Sebring, with NDL Illusion coming home second, and the NDL team overall being second in the prototype category. TNR RX is going to be third overall and third in the Stint. AOE Mutiny is going to come home fourth in that number 232. And Dangus Hemi just barely finishes fifth. Your winner in GT4 Pro will be Calco. And it will be an easy overall victory for this entry as well. Ferrari, despite having to make an entire extra stop, will come home with another respectable top to finish. Anzio, your Ironman driver, is going to come home with a podium in the final stint of the night. Fear Damask will be fourth in the GT4 Pro category. BFL Striker will end up ahead of Nerdy Chimera by about a mile, so this should give BFL Striker's entry overall victory in the GT4 AM category over Nerdy Chimera, who was our other Ironman driver. Formulaic, despite running out of fuel and in the process causing an accident, is going to at least finish this final stint. And Hellbane has had nothing short of a nightmare night. Not the cool kind of nightmare night from Nightmare Moon, but just a nightmarish night, and will be last, but will at least be running at the end here. So we're going to go ahead and knock out a ad break, and when we come back, we're going to try and interview our top finishers in the various categories. We'll be back shortly at Road America. Standing by right now, waiting to see if anyone's going to be able to jump in and do a post-event interview here. I'm just kind of hoping we don't end up in a scenario where Xbox parties are still completely busted here. Although it might be legitimately possible that people are just too bloody tired to do anything else as well. Also, to the one who said that we are watching most of these stints from a furry convention, no, that is not true. We are just watching most of these stints from a normal view. I will be at a pony convention next week down in Florida, but no, we are not watching from a furry convention thus far today. That will be next week. Still not gotten anything from our various drivers, so I don't really know what's going on there. Here, I'm going to try something. Alright, it says invite sent, so the invites are at least Xbox is telling me that the invites are going out. I just don't know if any of them are actually working. Oh, there we are. Finally, is it going to work now? Chimera, can you hear me? All right, finally. Gosh, sorry. Xbox parties have been giving me fits all day long today. It's not that you've done anything wrong. Xbox parties have been legitimately awful most of the day today. Okay, coming into the party right now are the winners in our 3 different categories here. I'm going to start with Nerdy Chimera since you jumped in first. Chimera, I believe, unless I've got it completely wrong, I believe that you had 5 miles on the Porsche that was in the GT4 AM category. I believe, so if I'm understanding, if I read the numbers correctly, you should have won overall. Can you include your audio in the Xbox party, Chimera? In the Xbox party, there will be a little thing. It'll have a box and it'll say include party audio or something like that. Can you hit that?
It should be in the Xbox party.
My audio. There we go. Okay.
Yes, that one.
There
okay.
we go. That makes sense.
All right. Hopefully they can hear you now, Chimera.
Okay.
All right. Chimera, it looks like a overall win, unless I'm completely misunderstanding the data, looks like an overall win for you today and a stint win as well. Fantastic drive. How in the world did you take this Mustang, which seemed absolutely evil in stint 1, and turn it around to this kind of result here at the end of the day?
Well, I was driving a Porsche, not a Mustang. But the Mustangs on the racetrack were really, really fast, and I did pretty good in the first stint, and then I had a lot of mishaps in the second, third, and fourth stint. But as the sun started to go down, I knew that that was going to be my chance to kind of pounce on those Mustangs and really make up some ground. So I was able to keep Flora up behind me just with cornering ability because he couldn't drive off the same way that he could in the heat.
All right, it's a pretty fantastic run out there with this victory. At what point? Oh, there we are. Calco's back. Oh, 1 second. Calco, you able to hear me? All right, I'll come back to you in a moment, Calco. Chimera, I do want to ask, at what point in today overall did you think that you had a shot, or your team had a shot, in winning the overall GT4 AM category?
I mean, I didn't think I had a shot. I was just gonna be like I Iron Man this, so it was literally just me and it's like I was fighting dehydration and cramping in my foot more than I was fighting the cars on the road. But if the numbers fall and I'm the overall AM winner, then I'm pretty excited for that. So
I think you're the overall AM winner.
yeah,
I could
we'll
be
wait
wrong.
till the numbers come
but
out.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to say? What other racing are you going to be doing over the next few weeks or months?
Just over the next couple of months, we're going to be wrapping up some stuff with IARA. I'm going to be working on the balancing for Underground Tuner Season 2 Fast and Furious Edition. So hopefully those cars will be revealed come January. And we'll probably wind up running that series in the spring. But that's really all I got going on.
All right. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us, mate. You should go take a break and take a rest.
Check.
I'm sure you're absolutely exhausted.
Thanks.
All right, we want to go ahead and now talk with the driver who we believe has won overall, or at least their team has won overall, and has definitely won the final stint, Calco, in the GT4 Pro category. Calco, are you able to hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I hear
Okay.
you. Are you able to include your audio in the Xbox
Yep,
part?
clicked it.
All right, awesome. Calco, this is the second time today that we saw you just start up front and walk away from everybody else. Was there any problems you had today? Because that looks stupid easy.
Not really any issues on my side. I had almost more stress watching my teammates' stints than I did mine whenever they slid off during battles or whatnot. But I had a pretty smooth experience with. But as I expected a little. So Anzio made the GT4. Like he selected the cars. I helped balance them all. So I had a good feeling of all of these GT4 cars from fine-tuning them for the main series that we do here in the IARA.
I do want to ask, in that scenario, since you're so familiar with the cars, what exactly do you think the BMW's biggest strength is here around Road America? Because Road America, in this game at least, with the way the physics work out, this circuit is very very high deg when it comes to the front tires, because you're taking so much speed into a lot of the corners and being very aggressive on the brakes. But you still need a lot of high speed, but it's not a pure speed track. There's a really weird balance with Road America compared to most of the other circuits in the game. What do you think gives that BMW such a significant advantage over everything else here today?
I don't know if it had that much of a significant advantage from when I did testing on this track, but what I really liked about the car is I enjoy a little bit of oversteer on throttle just outside corners to just help it both get through and just really start accelerating. And adding a bit of rear aero onto this tune helped it keep itself in those higher corners. Like the kink especially, I saw a lot of people were losing 3 to 5 tenths to me in the kink alone just for them having to take another 6 miles an hour off to get through it. So I just think it was that circumstance of adding a bit of downforce to be able to almost get through the kink flat that gave the BMW its biggest advantage on track.
All right, well, you definitely pushed that advantage to a pretty ridiculous rate. You won at least 2 stints. I missed 2 of the broadcasting stints today. I do apologize for that, but
I did get
it does
stint
look like
4.
it's gonna...
I did
Okay,
get
so
the
you
third
won
stint.
3 stints. Oh, goodness. But yeah, what else are you going to be running over the next few weeks or months?
Over the next few weeks, we have the second half of IARA's GT4 series. The next one is actually this coming Wednesday at Silverstone with these exact cars and builds, so that should be a fun one. Kind of in the background, we have a GTP Group C that we've started bouncing on, as well as a kind of like in your dream series, just cars that the regular person is never going to be able to own. That one's more in its infancy, but the GTP is something that I'm specifically working on with six of those 80s, late 80s, early 90s cars.
All right, that would definitely be fun to keep an eye on then. I'll definitely try and keep an eye on what IARA does in the future. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us. Great job on the stint wins, plural, and what looks like the overall category win as well, mate.
Appreciate it. Can't wait to watch over the stints to hear the commentary over them. It's always fun listening to you.
Yep, and also I will go ahead and say that the stints that I did cover, I will end up putting on YouTube sometime in the early to mid part of the upcoming week. So if you miss them on Twitch, they will go up on YouTube in a few days' time.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
All right, now one more driver I want to talk to, and this is HYR Spirit. Spirit, can you hear me?
Yes,
Are you able to include your audio in the Xbox party?
I believe I have.
Okay, I'm going to hope that is the case. This is preliminary. We're assuming that there's no post-race penalties or disqualifications or anything else crazy that comes out, but everything that I have seen has suggested that HYR has finally won their first overall Enduro in a top category in any racing series in Forza. That's what it seems like. And if so, congratulations on being the driver to really wrap that up today. How in the world did you do that today? That was wild what you pulled off out there.
Well, the team gave me a big head start, and all I had to do was stick right on him. So it was a lot less pressure than Stint 3, where I binned it 4 or 5 times.
Speaking of binning it, there was a moment about 2/3 of the way through this final stint where you and NDL Illusion went side by side into the carousel, and you both came up on GT4 traffic. The two of you made contact, you went off circuit, lost about 10, 11 seconds. Somehow, I don't know how in the world you did it, you drove that all back and was right on his rear wing by the time the final pit stop happened. Where in the world did you find that extra speed from?
That's a great question. I don't know. Just put my head down and tried to run him down. Wasn't much to lose because we had a pretty good lead, so I may as well try and catch him.
All right, I do want to ask, after making that final pit stop, you came out and you only had about 3 laps, about 4 laps. No, it was about 3 laps to the end, and like a bat out of hell, you immediately ran him down and got by him. Was that a pre-planned move, or was it just, hey, whatever comes to me? Like, how in the world did you make that foul move work out? Because you and him had traded the lead back and forth at least 24 times before that point. How did you know that was the move to make?
I was just going as fast as I could and thought I may as well get around him when I had the chance.
Well, it seemed to work out, mate. I will say this much, from my perspective at least. I've watched HYR in a lot of series. I've watched NDL in a lot of series. Both teams are really fun to watch, but I almost never see them directly competing against each other in the same category, let alone the same stints, or even a lot of times the same series. This was a heck of a rivalry for you guys to have, HYR versus NDL. NDL's a little bit newer on the scene, but been very fast. HYR's been around for a little while. Not the fastest ever, but you really pulled out a great balance between performance and avoiding mistakes and minimizing mistakes. I just want to say I'm very glad to have been here for what seems to be HYR's first overall win in a top category and an Enduro. I'm very happy to be here for that, but I do want to ask, what else are you going to be running in, Spirit, over the next few weeks and months?
We'll be wrapping up GT4s in IARA in the next few weeks, months. And the series Kyle was talking about, I'll probably be running. And then I think we'll have another HYR league here the end of September.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. I do want to say one more thing, because you were the first driver, or the first person in general, to reach out to me for covering the IARA Enduro today. So I do want to say thanks for bringing me on. First I saw the small field, I was like, okay, this is going to get really spread out, but no, this was probably one of, if not my favorite Enduro that I have covered in this game. Absolutely incredible all the way through, and I really wish I could have covered all 6 stints, but thanks for inviting me and bringing me into this.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
All right, and with that in mind, I'll wrap up our run here for IARA's 12-hour enduro. The channel's likely going to go and cool down over the next week or so. It's been very high tempo for a while, but we will be coming back with the next P1R SEC enduro likely in a few weeks' time. We might end up covering some other events that weren't really planned over the next few weeks, but otherwise we're likely going to calm down a bit on this channel. Until next time, though, I have been your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leader 13. Thanking everyone for watching. I look forward to seeing you all guys next time. Until then, stay safe, everyone. Farewell and goodbye. Also, Nightmare Moon did nothing wrong.